Construction is like an orchestra. The builder is the guy up the front conducting, the conductor, and then you've got everyone else in there around that. Episode 1. Welcome and why this matters. Welcome to the Xav Builds YouTube channel. Who am I? My name is Xavier Duffy. I'm a builder, business owner. I'm a dad, husband. I'm a brother. I'm a son. What's this channel about? Well, it's about construction. It's about business, and it's about all the stuff in between that. Essentially, look, I created this because I want to film cool shit, and we've got our guy Rowan behind the camera, who's really, really good at what he does. And this is sort of developed out of the rally. I sort of always had the idea that I wanted to do a YouTube channel or a podcast or something like that. Every bloke who sits around and has a beer with his mates always talks about a YouTube channel and Ben getting it together. And I thought, after the rally, why not? So this is where we're at. And yeah, I want to cover off the challenges that I face running businesses, the challenges I face being a dad, maybe, and cool little projects at home that I'm doing. I want to go through and show you behind the scenes stuff on the businesses. Yeah, it's about just showing people the stuff we're doing, getting a bit of interest. I've seen other people doing with YouTube channels that, I just think I could do that so much better. So here I am. What to expect? Again, industry insights, stories, wins, and losses. I want to talk about things that don't go well and how to fix them, how to do things. And yeah, why am I really doing this? Well, look, I love construction. I started in construction when I was in year 10. In the holidays, went and worked. It was like everyone does it, I think, in year 10. You do work placement for a week. I did it in Dubbo. And family friend Nigel Burke, shout out to Nige. And yeah, went and worked with him for a week and loved it so much. I worked the whole holidays as well. So I ended up working a month, I think it was, in construction. And what I really enjoyed from the start was basically building something out of nothing. Really, really got into it. Like the camaraderie as well, like on site with the boys and girls, essentially creating something or working to a plan and sort of looking back at the end of each day and sort of seeing something come together. I really like the thinking behind it and the problem solving. Like a set of plans can be, it will never be perfect, but you can get it really close. And I think that's where the beauty of construction does come in. Like you've got these really complex problems you have to solve. Love solving complex problems. I love the feeling of the first day of a job. I love walking onto site with absolutely nothing there and essentially building it straight out of the ground. I love, talking with clients and essentially seeing their vision and I guess bring that to life initially through a set of plans. And then off that, being able to actually create their vision and add some character and some flair to it as well. That I really enjoy. And then obviously at the construction process, I love the construction process all the way through as well. I love running into little problems or, when a client sees something and it's not exactly how they wanted it and then, amending it slightly to make sure we're fitting the brief. I really love all of that. So in a nutshell, I love the design, I love the planning, and I love the hands-on work. Construction to me is really important. I think that with the housing crisis that's on at the moment, I think how important it is. I think it's a really fundamental skill that people should know how to build stuff. I was thinking about this the other day and I was trying to compare construction to something else. And what I came up with was construction is like an orchestra. The builder is the guy up the front conducting, the conductor. And then you've got everyone else in there around that. You've got the composers who are the architects, the draftspeople, the engineers, they're like the sound engineers, if you want to call it that. They're making sure that everything works. Then you've got obviously your woodwind, you've got the saxophones, you've got the drums, you've got all of that stuff, which would be all the different types of trades. Your plasterers, your landscapers, your carpenters, your sparkies, your plumbers, your painters, your HVAC guys, everything. Then you've got the government, which is the people that own the building that tell you what you can and can't play and how loud you can be or how quiet you have to be. And they're always generally being difficult and charging you heaps of money. So that works perfectly, that analogy, I think. But yeah, I mean, if you look at really good builders, like they can look at a set of plans and put it together. They can pick out, problems with it, and that's what a conductor would do. There's really, really good composers out there, obviously Beethoven's and different, music composers. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Beethoven's probably the most famous one, I reckon, or Mozart. Yeah, and they're the architects and draftsmen. They're the ones that I guess see the vision. They're the ones that put it all down on paper, and they know how the light's going to work. I guess through the building, or they know the feeling that they're trying to invoke from someone when they walk into one of their buildings. So yeah, I think that's a really good analogy. But yeah, I liken construction to an orchestra playing in the Sydney Opera House, for example. I like as well about construction, just seeing the impact that it has on families' homes and different lifestyles. I think when we work with a lot of different clients, more often than not, they probably don't see the value until it's obviously constructed. And, we get a lot of really positive feedback after we've put on a new deck or pergola or pool or granny flat, or we've done some type of renovation. We get so much good feedback around that. And, it's sort of really changed the way that we do things at home. One of our clients recently, he has a sauna each morning and jumps in his pool, and at 50 something feels as good as he ever has. So those kind of impacts really love, or people that say we put a new deck and pergola on. Now we have, dinner outside, during the warmer months, nearly every week, or we're barbecuing heaps more, or where, the kids are outside. I really enjoy that. I really like how construction can, improve people's lives. I'll move on so I have 3 businesses. It started out with ACT Decks in 2012. Essentially, I really enjoyed doing decks and pergolas and things like that. I didn't see anyone else really. Well, there was Canberra Decks. He was doing it. Then I felt like, I did a really good job of it as well. And so, yeah, I sort of started that, sort of fell into that a little bit. And, I really enjoyed building decks and pergolas. Essentially what drew it to me was, not a lot of other people were doing it, and low risk, high reward. And also, I was essentially building places for people to entertain in their backyard, or to get outside more. I really loved that, putting a deck in with a big set of bifolds, big pergola over the top of it, and a custom barbecue area like that. That's what I absolutely love doing. And that sort of progressed, and I always had this idea I wanted to get into landscaping, because decks and landscaping, they sort of go hand in hand. And that's where ACT Landscape Construction came from. So started that one in 2021. Essentially started it in July, and in August we were shut down for, I think, the whole month for COVID. So it was a tough start. But yeah, really, really enjoy landscaping, and that sort of developed into landscaping and putting pools in. So our focus there is we want to be able to put a pool in for someone and landscape around that. Why pools? Look, I don't want to be a pool builder per se. I like the landscaping aspect of it. But what we've seen is you'll have a pool builder come in, just put the pool in and not think about anything else. And I think creating like a one-stop shop, I think that's going to alleviate a lot of clients' problems, in that there's not a lot of landscapers out there that have got a builder's license. We do, in that, coming from carpentry background, then getting my builder's license with ACT Decks, and then that's moved into ACT Landscape Construction. I was able to I already had my builder's license, so it was an easy transition over there. And going back to the point of landscaping is, I really like landscaping in that it's an ever-changing environment in someone's backyard. In that, you've got all the different seasons. So from spring to winter to autumn to summer, like your backyard is constantly changing. And that depends on the type of plants you put in. That I think summed up in a word. I'm losing my fucking train of thought here, but we're gonna have to cut a section here, Ron. But yeah, that's where landscaping came from. It came from wanting to work hand in hand with decks, and it does. And I guess wanting to provide clients with a one-stop shop solution, so we can really focus on the decks and pergolas and cabanas and outdoor living section. And then we've got landscaping, who focuses on, the full aspect of outside of the home, all the way around the home and the planting and the irrigation and the turf and the pools, then the fencing and everything to do with landscape and the retaining walls. And then the newest business is ACT Home Elevations. Now, this business has sort of come again through seeing clients with some pain points. Those pain points being having to deal with multiple different companies and I guess orchestrate a whole renovation project. I want to be able to do all of the renovation, all of it together. And that's where ACT Home Elevations has come from. So with that one, we really want to target second-storey additions. I want to do one at my house, and I reckon that there's other people in the same boat as me. Really good size block, love the area, and they just want to, I guess, renovate their home to suit their lifestyle. Sort of towards the top of a hill at my house, got a really, really good view. I love the size of the backyard. My kids play out there. I want to put a pool out there. So going up was the best option for us. And as I mentioned, I think other people are going to be in that same spot as well. So I want to, there's not really anyone in Canberra saying, hey, we want to do your second story extension. So I want to be that person. We also want to do granny flats. Now, I don't like the term granny flat. I think that it takes away from what a granny flat actually is. It's a secondary dwelling. And I think where that is really useful, especially in Canberra, is there's some really big blocks in the inner city. And we're trying to, people are living at home a lot longer now. Grandparents are moving back in to save money. I think putting an extra dwelling on your property, that you can rent out, get the kids out there, get family and friends out there. I think it's a really good opportunity to improve the value of your home and your lifestyle as well. If you've got a guest house outside or a pool house, as we've recently completed, or the kids, bungalow or something like that, that's what we want to target for that one as well. As well as, renovations and extensions. That one is a bit more specific. I don't want to do like 100 projects a year. I really want to focus in and do 6, 7, maximum 8, and focus on the quality and the client experience through that project. I'm happy to design and build it. I'm happy for people to come to me with a design and then we work together on how we build it. That one essentially is, that's the newest one. I'm really excited to sort of get that one going. We've done one pool house for ACT Home Elevations at the moment. That's been completed. We've got a few leads at the moment. We're talking, and clients potential clients we're talking to. So I'm really excited about getting that one going. But essentially, ACT Home Elevations would encompass everything together. If you want to do the deck, if you want to do the landscaping in the pool, and you wanted to renovate your home, we can do the whole thing all in one place. Launching this YouTube channel. Look, I'm doing it now because I may as well. I want to share insights. I want to be consistent with this. I want to elevate the industry, and I want to connect with like-minded people. I mean, just recently we had the site inspection guy from TikTok. He came to Canberra and pointed out a horrible builder. And, I feel like there's so many bad builders out there just getting smashed. And rightfully so, because I've seen a lot of them and they're terrible. Why do you think his YouTube channel is so big and his social media presence is so big? Because there's people out there doing terrible work. And, most builders know who the other bad builders are. And what I'll say to this, everyone should be accountable here. I think that the homeowner or the client who selected that builder should take some accountability. I think the builder obviously should take 95% of the responsibility for doing a terrible build. Then I think, yes, the government does have to take some responsibility there as well. I think the certifiers have to take some responsibility too. But it can't just be, the builder. It can't just be, the certifier who signed this off. I just think that that's unfair. I think that, I know that in the ACT, builders very rarely have their licenses taken off them. They might be reprimanded often, but they don't get their licenses taken off them, because what happens is they go to ACAT and they will say, oh, it's my livelihood. It's my livelihood. My response back to that is, if you're a bad bus driver and you crash your bus repeatedly, you wouldn't be a bus driver anymore. So they're obviously bad at what they do, so they shouldn't have a builder's license. Go back and do a trade, mate, if you haven't already. Go back and do the fundamentals, because it's obviously you don't know how to build. And I really feel for I do feel for the homeowners in every occasion like this. But what I will say is, do your due diligence at the start. It's the cheapest quote usually for a reason. If you're not going past their other projects, if you're not looking at their company profile, if you're not, making sure that these guys are doing what they should be doing quality-wise with their builds, you have to take some responsibility there, is what I'm saying. But it's never a nice situation to see someone put in a very, very subpar performance and clients be left, I guess, holding the baby. And I think that, the construction industry, it is known for that. You always hear about the dodgy tradie. You always hear about the dodgy builder. Very rarely do you hear about the overbearing client or, the we're going to have to cut some here too, because I can't keep a straight face. Or maybe we don't cut anything. Yeah. We're going to have to cut those names out. But yeah, very, very rarely do you hear about, the client dramas that the builders have. And look, we're providing a service. Yeah, I get that. We're professionals. We act professional. I understand sometimes timelines get blown out. Clients get frustrated. It is a frustrating thing, especially when you're investing so much money. And I do want to get rid of these bad builders. But why am I launching Xav Builds, the YouTube channel and everything else? Because I want to put some positivity back in construction. I want to advocate for construction in the ACT. I love construction. And I want to highlight good builders. I want to highlight good tradespeople. I want to highlight really cool architects and draftspeople. I want to interview them. I want to chat with them. I want to talk about, I give people a bit of an insight on what it's like on the other side. I think talking with people and putting it out there, and I guess telling a story from the other side, because a lot of people don't know about the intricacies of construction. They don't know what we deal with as a builder. They don't know what we deal with as an architect. They don't know what we deal with as a tradesman. Yes, we get up early. Yes, we're on site early, making noise, probably waking you up. But, we're also working in the rain. We're working in the wind. We're working in the heat. It's not all sunshine and rainbows. We do work really hard. And it is a difficult trade. It is a difficult, construction is difficult. But I love it. The struggle is where the fun happens, as they say, or as I say. I'll touch on the rally quickly as well. Look, the rally for construction ACT. Look, I started that just due to frustration. What the rally is, look, I just wanted to highlight the inefficiencies that were going on. I've got a lot of content on the rally. I'll post a heap of that on the YouTube channel on Xav Builds as well, across different social media platforms. But essentially no one is looking at the approval process as a whole in the ACT. No one is looking at how difficult it is or how difficult it has become. I understand that there are things going on that, these dodgy builders, but you can't bring in all this legislation to try and protect clients, and legislate your way out of problems. That's not going to work. And what is happening is the really good builders out there, and the draftsmen and the architects are suffering because there's so much more paperwork you need to get through. There's so many more boxes you need to tick. There's so much more stuff you need to do. And it was definitely, this stuff's all been brought in from, all the news about the dodgy builders and the dodgy tradies and, these guys. And I understand that. I can see where they're coming from. And the intent with the majority of the stuff that's been brought in, yeah, very understandable. But in reality and in practice, it takes away a builder's ability to focus on quality. It takes away the draftsman and architect's ability to focus on quality or to work with builders more. And we're so focused on paperwork and communicating to the government what we're doing that we're not focusing on the project or the client or organising, trades. And that's where I'm finding it. That's why I started the Rally for the Construction ACT. Where does that sit with the MBA and the HIA? Well, the MBA, Master Builders Association, and the HIA, Housing Industry Association, they're peak bodies. They're industry representation. And where I sort of sit in that, the Rally for Construction, well, that's sort of call it a grassroots movement led by builders on the ground. I don't want, the rally to be my thing. I want it to be a voice for builders, architects, trades, and I want to highlight the difficulties that we're facing because we need more homes and we need to be on the same page. We need to solve the housing crisis, although there's probably a lot of people making money out of not solving the housing crisis. But yeah, we need to try and we need to build more houses. That's plain and simple. So I think the rally for construction it's a voice that people can have. It's getting our side of the story out there so that everyone can understand it. It's not about deregulation. It's not about cutting corners. It's not about making things easier so we can make more money. It's about making it better for everyone. And all I want to do is I want the government to talk to us and say, what can we be doing better? Because at the moment, I know a lot of builders, myself included, have gone into the government and said, what can I do better to get my projects approved faster? What can I do better to approve, on the plans? What can I do better to make sure there's not these roadblocks consistently holding things up? And I think I want to continue, highlighting the rally and highlighting construction, the ACT and the inefficiencies so we can fix that problem. There's been a lot of discussion around a DA and the lead times for DA and then the lead times for a BA. Now, DA is a development approval and BA is a building approval. Now, to explain this as simply as I can, and I might do an infographic here, DA, they get the opportunity to say yes or no. Do you need both? No, you don't. If you design your building or your home or your renovation, extension, whatever it is, within that little box for a BA, you can build, you're good to build essentially. You've got to obviously go and speak with your certifier, but then, you're good to go. Same in New South Wales, CDC, good to go straight through. Development approvals becomes obviously a lot more difficult. Now, why are they so slow and how it affects businesses, families, and the housing supply? Well, this is a really good question. Look, building approvals are so slow at the moment because there's been a lot of changes to the NCC come in. In the ACT, there's been different changes as well to the single dwelling housing code and the... I'm losing my train of thought at the end here. Why are DAs so slow? Well, the government needs to assess it against their criteria. If the government are understaffed or they're behind or they don't have the right processes or systems, that's where it gets backed up. And that's where it can take forever. You can call them repeatedly and find out about your application. That generally doesn't help. Now, why it's all relevant right now? Well, as I mentioned earlier, there's a housing crisis. Construction costs are very high at the moment, and there are still some supply chain issues. The demand for a smarter system more transparency, and builder-driven reform is where I'm at. I want a smarter system. I want more efficiency. I want more transparency, and I want the governments to listen to builders. You know, we're trying to build homes to solve this crisis, but no one's talking to the builders. No one is supporting the builders. No one is helping the builders. No one's even asking the builders, hey, how can we do this better? I know that the HA and NBA are going to, the government and saying, this is what you need to do. And the government are saying, yeah, thanks for that. We'll take that on board. And nothing's happening. And that's really frustrating for me, because I know that, I know that we can build more efficiently. I know that we can knock out a lot more houses. I know that we can get on top of this, but you've got builders, tradies, architects, draftspeople, and everyone else there that wants to build and that are keen for work. Everyone talks about a skills shortage. Yes, there is a skills shortage in Australia, but there's also an inefficiency shortage. That inefficiency shortage isn't through lack of effort. That inefficiency shortage is through lack of understanding. The government's just not trying to help out, which is, frustrating, disappointing. I want to give builders a platform. I want to speak to different builders. I want to speak to different tradies. I want to speak to architects. I want to speak to homeowners as well that have had a tough time dealing with the government, if they'll talk to me. Usually, especially in Canberra, a lot of people obviously work for the government, so it is hard for them to talk about it. But we need to get people in here to talk about their experiences. I think if we can highlight some of the inefficiencies or the frustrations, I think we can solve it. And I think good conversation should be able to do that. It should be able to solve problems. I know that if I'm on site and a problem comes up, I don't just not talk to anyone. I usually get a few key people in there and talk through with them different solutions, and then we come up with the best possible way forward. And if required, we go and talk to the client and say, hey, look, we ran into this problem. These are the ways we can solve it. Did you have a preference here? And then we fix the problem and move on. And I think that if we take that very simple explanation on how to solve problems and we apply that to a very complex problem, I think we can make some good change, and we can get stuff happening faster, which is going to benefit everyone. Final thoughts. Look, I'm hopeful for change. I think you've got to put your hope somewhere. And if it's not in the future, well, then where are you putting your hope? Because it can't be in the past. So, I want to invite people to talk, and I want to put positivity back in construction, or instill some confidence with clients. I want to talk to really good builders. I want to talk to really good architects. I want to talk to all the different trades and the really good ones. I want to highlight problems that happen on site. I think conversations are really important. I think that through good conversation, you come up with solutions naturally. I'm not a complainer. I'm a doer. I'm about leading from the front, and I don't want to sit on the sidelines and just say that I'm not doing anything. This is my effort to try and fix things. This is my effort to try and educate people. This is, my effort to help construction in the ACT. I want to provide a voice. I want to talk to people. I want to provide solutions. I want to highlight problems that I'm having. I want to talk through my methodology on how to solve these problems, and I want to show people. I think that's important, because I know that other people will have similar problems potentially, and I like solving problems. So what's coming up? Well, I want to interview more people. I want to chat with people. I want to talk to suppliers. I want to talk to different members of my team. I want to talk with builders and architects and tradespeople, and basically anyone in construction who will talk to me. Bring something to the table, similar to having a coffee. That's what I want to do. I want to have a chat. How you going? What are you up to? Why you do what you do? I want to deep dive into standout projects. So I want to take you through some of our really exciting projects that we've got coming up. And it's sort of a behind the scenes look. I want to talk about the problems we're having with some of the projects. I want to solve those problems on here so you can get an understanding of the stuff I deal with and the stuff that my team deals with on a regular basis. You can also, I want to talk with other business owners as well. I want to talk with them about leadership, life, being a dad or a mum, and the struggles and the highlights, why we do this. And look, that's enough from me. We'll finish it up there. But look, the first episode, it was a tough one. I've never done anything like this before. If you've watched this long, thank you very much. Stay tuned and let's rock and roll. Maybe like and subscribe. Yeah. Look, if you like this kind of content and you want to come along for the journey, hit that subscribe button. Really helps the channel. It really helps the channel if you hit the subscribe button. Hey, if you like this, if you like the sound of my voice and you want to come along for the journey, hit that subscribe button. Hey, you've made it this far. I've just spoken for how long, Rowan? Half an hour. You should definitely hit subscribe because you've lasted this long. And I've got plenty more of fucking me babbling along coming. So share this video and get someone else to subscribe too while you're at it. Nah. Lastly, lastly, I want to do a little shout out to Ron. Ron, thank you for your support with this, mate. Without you, wouldn't be here, wouldn't be doing this. It's been really good to have you have your help with this. You've had a massive impact. I'm really looking forward to seeing where we can get this podcast to go. And at some stage, we will have you on as a guest. So pencil that in, brother.